agreement with the city on a new 5-year contract. SEIU Local 73 says the deal could increase wages for more than 2,000 people.
There's news consumer inflation is still hanging on.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Twilio Segment. Segment helps every team access good data that's real-time, clean, and accurate. The result is relevant customer experiences that drive real revenue. Segment.com. And by C3 Generative AI, verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. Learn more at c3.ai.
I'm David Brancaccio. There's word just now that inflation went up by 0.4% in March, the same rise as February. Forecasters have been expecting a smaller jump, just 0.3%. This shows consumer prices went up 3.5% in a year. Central bankers want 2%. Now, the takeaway is that interest rates may take longer to come down, perturbing players in financial markets this morning. S&P futures are now down 1.3%. NASDAQ futures down 1.5%. I see the 10-year interest rate moving up sharply as bonds fall, with the 10-year interest rate up at 4.49% at the moment. The value of a typical home has hit $1 million in a record number of U.S. cities. This using data from the real estate site Zillow. The median home value crossed the 7-figure mark in now 550 cities, an increase of 59 cities over last year. That means it's not just lots of $1 million homes in places like Northern California or the New York area. Marketplace's Megan McCarty-Carino reports.
It's been a while since most buyers batted an eye at $1 million listing in San Francisco or Los Angeles, says California realtor Mark Willey. But when he moved to the San Luis Obispo area of the Central Coast about 15 years ago, $1 million home was something special.
That was like luxury living, right? I mean, that was cream of the crop.
Often with actual crops, like acres of grapevines or a view of the ocean. But now,
in San Luis Obispo proper, $1 million gets you a dump.
And $1 million mortgage is more expensive than even a year ago. Price increases have slowed, but not reversed because there's stiffer competition for fewer homes. There's something symbolic about $1 million home becoming typical, says economist Greg Kimbrough at American University.
It does speak to sort of how out of whack things have gotten.
He says first-time home buyers have been completely shut out of many markets, and new construction isn't keeping up with demand. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino for Marketplace.
The European Union's top court has overturned European sanctions on 2 billionaires with links to Russia's leadership in a blow to the bloc's sanctions regime that was imposed after the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The BBC's James Wickham has more.
Billionaires Mikhail Friedman and Pyotr Arvan were sanctioned following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine on the grounds that they supported the Kremlin's war. But the EU's General Court annulled the travel ban and asset freeze orders, saying there was insufficient evidence the two oligarchs backed the conflict. While the court found that there may be a degree of proximity between Russian leader Vladimir Putin and the pair, it said the EU had failed to prove they backed the war in Ukraine. Friedman and Arvan are two of the most prominent individuals to successfully challenge against sanctions, which have been imposed on more than 2,000 people and organisations since early 2022.
That's James Wickham with our editorial partners at the BBC.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG. UKG is a partner that delivers HR, pay, time, and culture solutions designed to help build a great workplace for everyone. UKG, our purpose is people. And by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
Now to a lush assignment out of the book industry. The media scholar who has studied propaganda in war, who got a deal to write a book about a drink. It's on a single cocktail, the French 75. Humphrey Bogart orders one in the movie classic Casablanca. The cocktail survives with a brand these days linked to New Orleans, but the history and the marketing behind it is even more interesting. The book, out today, was written by John Maxwell Hamilton, a professor at the Manship School of Mass Communication at Louisiana State. Jack, welcome back.
Good to see you.
Why they call this thing the French 75?
This is a cocktail that was born out of propaganda and carries on because it's so easily publicized. It was created in World War I and named after a famous cannon, 75 millimeter cannon, which the French used in that war, and it helped them a great deal because it was the first modern artillery piece. And some people think it actually helped save Paris when the Germans marched in.
So somehow that reference helped give it somehow cachet?
The French were first struggling in the war, and they wanted something that they could hang propaganda on. And because the French 75 gun was so effective, it was a way for them to create this aura about the war and the gun. And then, of course, a whole lot of other things were named French 75s. Cocktail shakers, chocolate spools of cotton, handkerchiefs, cigarette lighters. The French 75 became this name that you use for promotion.
And marketing didn't go out of business after the First World War, and that helped over the years.
You're right. Promotion did carry on. In fact, you could argue that modern advertising and public relations grew out of World War I. The tactics we use now to sell, to brand things, really began in that conflict.
But over the years, it just somehow this French 75 keeps getting new life as people attach their brands to it, attach their names to it.
The drink itself, its history is forgotten, but the name, it has a certain je ne sais quoi. If you order a French 75, there's something about you. You're cosmopolitan. The other side is the drink has managed to reinvent itself over and over again. So the first one had Calvados in it, and it had absinthe and gin. And then the ones that exist today, sometimes they have gin and champagne. There's one in the Atlas Bar in Singapore, and it has creme pêche and salt. So it changes all the time.
Indeed. I keep seeing the statistics that Generation Z, for instance, consuming less alcohol, sober, curious mindset. To be praised, is there a way to do a French 75 that might be non-alcoholic?
I'm sorry to say there is. You can also do French 75 Jell-O shots. But if you don't want to drink a French 75 that has alcohol in it, go get a Dr. Pepper.
John Maxwell Hamilton is a professor at Louisiana State University and a fellow at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Always good to catch up.
Thank you very much, David.
That book's title is To the Point, The French 75. I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. As he says in Casablanca, drink in hand. Here's looking at you, kid. APM, American Public Media.